Space, the final frontier. The rest of this speech is copyrighted, so I won't say it. But on a serious note, mankind, I think we've always gazed up to the stars and we've thought about colonizing the stars, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's been the ultimate question.
I think about it all the time.
Will we one day go out there, travel amongst the stars, and colonize space, make other planets our own? And that's the big question.
You might be surprised. A lot of people don't think we are.
Yeah, and I might be one of them, actually.
Really?
So
okay, this will be interesting.
Today on Zumundo, we're going to talk about why space travel may not be our ultimate destination. Hey, I hope you like the new video intro I just put up there. That's
gonna be excellent.
That's kind of silly. Welcome to Zumundous podcast. I'm Doolin.
I'm Keith.
And today we're going to talk about the vastness of space and whether or not mankind is ever going to go out there and live amongst the stars.
Intergalactic travel, interstellar travel,
interplanetary.
Maybe even the difference between the two.
But before we do that, I got some news.
Yeah, send it.
So ever since we ended Zumundo and started Zumundous, I've been hinting about I've got another project on the horizon, but I'm not going to talk about it yet.
But you talk about it all the time.
Not here though. I talk about it to you guys and stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and drop some news, man. I have a second podcast in the works. Keith, unfortunately, is not part of this one, but he's still going to be sitting in here with me. I've got a very dedicated team. The name of the podcast is going to be called Roll for Real. This is a story of 5 normal, ordinary people from our world that gets sucked into a hyper immersive video game, the world of Zumundo. Little nod to our show. So so I'm going to go ahead and I've got a teaser trailer. I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. So I'll throw it up there on the screen for you. So here we go. Teaser trailer for Roll for Real coming this summer.
Have you ever played a game so real that it blurs the lines of reality? It's the most immersive video game ever created. Welcome to Zumundo.
Every Star Trek episode that features a holodeck episode has something go wrong with a goddamn holodeck.
Okay. Were we Jumanji'd?
You were not meant to be here, Outworlders.
We were just trapped in a veiling simulation that our bodies and brains are hooked up to.
Your fate is now tied to this boy. You're the Outworlders. You brought the fire.
If we die in the game, we die in real life.
Our presence entwists the threads of fate. Leave this place.
The only way we survive this is together. There we go. That is the trailer, the teaser trailer for the Roll for Real podcast, guys. I hope you guys tune into that. The other YouTube page is Roll for Real. You can go check that out. I think it's at Roll for Real Podcast. YouTube.com/Roll for Real Podcast. So got that out of the way.
Cool.
Thanks for sitting through that with us. And we're going to talk about space travel now. I'm a huge fan of Star Trek. Obviously, I think we both are.
A lot of people are. Yeah,
we
myself included.
We love some Star Trek. And when I was younger, I used to watch episodes of The Next Generation and think wow, man, maybe not in my lifetime, but one day mankind is going to go out there, and they're going to go out there and touch the stars, and they're going to colonize. And as I get a little bit older, and I start to understand more things about science and
physics
and that kind of thing, I'm no physicist by any stretch, but certain things starts to make it look less and less like we're ever going to attain that, or if we do attain that, we'll have already kind of transcended what we are now. Now, what do you mean by that? That's a long discussion. I know I'm jumping ahead, so let's dial it back a little bit.
Yeah, it's whether we can and will are two different things there, right? Obviously we know we can get to some places
Well, right now we're gearing up. We're trying to prepare for the first manned mission to Mars.
Yeah,
and I think that's really cool.
Huge, yeah,
because like we might actually see that in our lifetime. I think, yeah, I think that's really cool. Like, our parents got to see the moon landing, but we weren't there for that.
No,
we didn't get to see that.
We time traveled ahead of that.
Yeah, exactly. So it for the longest time it just kind of seemed like, all right, well, we went to the moon. That's it.
And just this is huge too, because the furthest humans have ever been away from planet Earth.
What's that?
Do you know what?
Where
they went?
Well, you mean the moon?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's the Apollo 13, the legendary
okay
mission where they went around the moon to come back. They had a slingshot around it for the gravity stuff. That's the farthest a human's ever been from the planet.
Wow. Okay.
It's far. It's super far.
It's super far by our standards, by our metrics. But
we say it takes 3 days to get to the moon. It takes 8 or 9 months to get to Mars. It's going to be a big trip.
It's going to be a big trip, and you got to think like they're trying to prep this shuttle, this spacecraft, in order to go to Mars. Like, and we're still some years off from this mission happening, but they have to carry enough fuel, enough food, enough supplies, and
trash compactors,
and able to take the several months it's going to take to get to Mars and the several months back.
Yeah, you're looking at, let's say the ship, and then if it comes back, right?
That's if everything goes right.
I think it is being built to make a return trip, right? So you're looking at like an 18
I would hope
month, round trip, to go there. And then depending on where the Earth and Mars are in their orbits around the sun, there's a time when we're closer together.
Right. It has to be timed.
Yeah, they time it all right. And so we can get to each other the fastest and most efficient way, because it's very expensive, obviously, as well too. And they're building a rocket to do it. It's pretty impressive. I really hope this happens, because I think this is a good potential, launching point. I mean, you could build another series of rockets and spaceships from there, and then go further out, potentially.
You got to think so we're in 2025 now. So like maybe in the next 10 years, maybe by 2035, we get to see this, and so we'll still, God willing, we'll be around by that point. We can see that happening.
And just the Mars thing leads into a longer conversation with the intergalactic.
Right, which is what I'm going to talk on here. So like when we start thinking about like the vastness of the universe and the cosmos. All right, so let's say, within the next 10 years, we go out and we make it to Mars. And then like, okay, we have several missions to Mars. Like, all right, so like what happened? Do you want to start, do you want to try to terraform Mars? Do you want to colonize Mars? Like, what do you want to do there? Highly unlikely that's going to be the case.
Both are options though. Yeah. You might want to just mine stuff there. We don't even know what everything.
Yeah. We don't even know
if there's got to make up with the soil and stuff like that from
rovers and stuff.
The stuff that we
sent. Yeah. We've sent probes, and we've sent like things that we like, unmanned missions to Mars with probes and droids and that kind of droids. What are we, Star Wars, with probes and things like that. But so let's say that within another 100 years we start exploring other planets. Like there's only Mars is really the only other planet in this solar system that we could set foot on.
Wrong.
That we could set foot on?
Oh, you mean like physically get there?
That we could actually physically get there and walk on, because
Venus
there's no way in hell you're going to Venus. Like Venus is way too wild.
If anybody doesn't know, it's all hot because the greenhouse effect is like times infinity there. And Mercury is super hot.
Mercury's super with no atmosphere. It's just been burned away. It's just a rock.
We can go to the moons of Mars too. That's an option. I don't know what the moons of any of the other planets are like. Besides, you hear Io, Europa, and places that look like that.
They think that there might be life on Europa. They speculate it's possible,
like bacterial life or something,
possibly, or maybe some sort of sea creatures, because it's all like Europa. Yeah, it's like a frozen ocean, like it's frozen on top, but they believe that it could have sea life.
That's wild. That's a crazy concept in and of itself, very much like the movie Interstellar, where he lied and said there was a great lush environment under the ice, and that was
but
spoiler.
so then you start talking about like, okay, well, how long are those trips going to take? And then when you start doing the math, and like, let's say like we've seen our solar system. Now it's time to go out to the next system. Well, the closest system, Proxima Centauri,
right?
But
Alpha Centauri is the closest star, right?
I thought Proxima Centauri is the nearest star to Earth other than the sun.
And then Alpha Centauri.
Alpha Centauri. Okay. Yeah. Proxima. It's in our proximity. All right. So, but so it's 4.2 light years. And so as we know, a light year is measured by, it's the distance that it takes the speed of light to travel 1 year.
Which is
1 year.
196,000 kilometers.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
faster than we could even dream to travel right now. But it's also, according to what we know about physics right now, it is the fastest that anything can travel.
Well, that's the thing.
That's the theory.
Goes faster than the speed of light. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, I just listened to a thing that he was talking about all this stuff, and it just might be a rule that can't be broken. You know, we might not be able to go faster than that. No, like warp drive might not be a thing. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you know, it is in Star Trek, which is a fun theory, but like if the laws of physics are set in stone and it says nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, then we ain't traveling any faster than the speed of light, which means if we have a ship capable of light speed, it's going to be a 4.2, so it'll be an 8.4 round trip from Proxima Centauri and back. Right.
So that's that's
186,000 miles per second.
Yeah.
Very fast.
Extremely.
So the thing is, you know, it takes light, 8.5 minutes or something to get here.
Yeah. 8.5 minutes from the sun.
You know, roughly. This is, I'm not an engineer.
It's about 8 minutes.
Yeah. So you're hauling it, and that's considered one astronomical unit. We start measuring stuff in weird ways too when we start traveling out. We have sent something outside of our solar system, which is Voyager 1.
Voyager 1, yep.
And 2, right? I think 2 made it as well.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, what was it? I saw a video on this the other day, like something that just kind of fills you, I don't want to say with existential dread, but Voyager, one of the Voyagers took a photo that's called simply the blue dot.
That's a cool picture, yeah.
And all of Earth is less than 1 pixel. It's just a teeny tiny little blue speck from where it took that photo. And it's just crazy because you think about that and you look at that less than a pixel, and everything you've ever known, loved, all the wars that were ever fought, the whole of human civilization, the rise and collapse of societies has all taken place on that one teeny tiny little blue pixel, less than a pixel.
It's wild, man.
And so it just, it makes you think, if we were traveling at the speed of light, it would take us probably about 100,000 years to cross into the end of the Milky Way galaxy. 100,000 years
under current technology,
just at the. We don't have the technology for speed of light.
You're just saying at the speed of light.
Yeah, at the speed of light would take about 100,000 years to reach the edge of the galaxy, and
that's pretty far.
Then from that point, millions to billions of years after that to reach another galaxy. So like Andromeda is the closest galaxy to us. And that traveling at the speed of light would take anywhere between millions to billions of years to reach.
Crazy.
So that's the vast scope of the universe. So if there is not some way to circumvent light speed travel,
but it's been discussed, and
it has been discussed. So what are some of the ways around this?
Okay.
We can speculate. So go ahead. I'll let you take it
in
off.
Star Trek, they even talk about warp drives, right?
Warp drive.
So somehow they're allowed to warp space and time, which we.
The folding of space-time, essentially.
They can fold it in a way that they don't have to go in a straight line between two objects. Thus, they can fly 100 light years across the galaxy. No problem.
Wormholes is also the other theory.
Wormholes is a different. I'm just talking about.
Go ahead.
A wormhole is another potential way, right?
Right.
Which is a much shorter distance between 2 points than is advertised. You know?
Right.
Black holes are another way, people say, but wormholes could exist inside a black hole.
Well, I mean, we talked about that a little bit in the multiverse episode.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Where I don't think black holes are, I mean, I don't know. We don't know what's on the other side of a black hole because nothing can survive a black hole. Can't
see in there. Can't see out of there.
Can't see in there. Like light can't even escape it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But I mean, it's a theory. If maybe the physics of a wormhole could be harnessed, that maybe it could be used to jump between 2 points in space. we don't know. And that's what that's kind of goes back to what I was saying. Is like, we would have to have such an insane understanding of the universe that is so alien to us, no pun intended, that we would essentially be gods at that point, and for other reasons, which I'll go into.
I mean, unless there's a breakthrough, and somebody's always studying stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Unless there's just like a
Always
massive
studying
breakthrough when it comes to like warp. I guess referencing warp drives are cool because that's they actually use that as part of the primer directive in that show or whatever to understand where civilization is at. Like, are they ready to join the Federation?
Right.
Like they don't even know other planets are out there because you haven't invented a warp drive.
Right.
And that's a pretty big.
You have to be able to
hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I mean, we haven't done it yet. I mean, people are thinking about this stuff and they're theoretically proving possibilities of, you know, everything from time travel, space-time to folding space and doing all this kind of stuff and trying to get to light speed. And there's just under conventional, you know, rocketry and solar sails and things that we've talked about in the past, like the physics of traveling between two places in our solar system, even it's usable, but it's just slow.
Yeah.
You know?
And
the faster you go, the more bad things can happen. You know, that space dust is no joke.
I mean, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, there was, Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, this is it's a big deal. And I think based off this alone, you're kind of like, I don't know, disproving the concept of going that far, but there are ways to do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's ways.
And people have to be willing to take a massive risk personally for themselves.
Oh yeah, sure.
And possibly
so then there's
for the future.
So well then there's the idea of the generational ships.
Yeah.
So let's say like we can achieve half of light speed, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's use that as a jumping off point and say, hey, we have we can go half light speed.
Okay.
We have like, or actually, you know, I'll give an example. There's a movie with Christopher Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence called Passengers. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not before.
I don't know.
It raises some moral questions, but I'm not going to get into that. The most important thing is they are on this ship and they are traveling at half of light speed.
Okay.
And they are going to this planet that has been colonized, but it is a 90-year trip to get there.
Wow.
And so what they do then is it kind of they go into a hypersleep. You go into a hypersleep for like
another concept
for like 90 years. So you basically say goodbye to everybody you know. This is goodbye. I'll never see you again. Hop on the ship and you go out there. So hypersleep is one. They're like, all right, well, you know, then what happens? Who's watching the ship? You know, obviously somebody's going to have to be up watching stuff.
Robots.
Possibly robot. But if something goes wrong, then you know something goes wrong, and then you don't ever wake up. But then that raises the question: if we've attained like a cryosleep or a hypersleep that basically freezes the aging process, well, now that's another thing that we've solved. Like we can now delay aging and death. So that's another thing that puts us in the godlike category. Like, okay, now we can delay that.
True. And I mean, there's the guy that's doing the reverse anti-aging stuff. He does look younger than he is, you know, for sure. But he's taken a ton of, you know, supplements and pills and medicines and like all this stuff. And I think you get even gene therapy and stuff at some point, you know, or stem cells or something, you know, and it's pretty crazy. So to think about just being able to put yourself in a cocoon and be able to you go into stasis essentially.
Yeah.
It's cool. I mean, I don't know if we figured that out either. I know you can cryo freeze, you know, things and slow down their atoms.
You can slow things down, but I mean, like unless it's dead, that's a living organism.
Can you bring it back though? If it does go,
exactly.
You know,
the other thing.
Cold.
The other thing is the generational challenge. So let's go ahead.
Yeah, I like this one, and there's a couple good shows about this one.
Yeah, this is an interesting take.
So you're signing up. Let's call it closer, like not Mars, but you know, I don't know, Alpha Centauri, right? Or you know, you go in there. It's going to take a while, like 44 years or something. I said under. I was just watching the show, and that's a long time. It's technically within a human's lifespan, you know.
Yeah, I mean, so
life expectancy.
You and I are in our 40s.
Yeah.
So let's say we were hopping on this ship.
We're born. Oh, we're hopping on it.
We're hopping on the ship, and we're gonna go to this system.
You could see it in your 80s, 90s. You know?
If you know, like you know, we're middle aged. We might make it. We might be here in 44 years. We might not. You know, it's that's just kind of a flip of the coin. But then you have to think like, okay, you're gonna be so old by the time you get there. It's your children that are going to be the ones that experience.
And this is the thing.
You know?
So something farther away that takes more than
let's say it's 300 years.
Even if it's a single generation where the people who launch Earth, let's say they're 20, perfect health, they leave, they're going on a 100-year trip. It's just not going to.
They're not going to make it.
Probably.
They're going to die there.
Out, yeah. So you're talking maybe 2 generations are on that ship. So their kids are born.
Your kids are born
educated, right? Because they have to fly the ship.
Born, grow, and die.
And live their entire life.
And have children.
On the ship so that their kids can get there.
Yeah.
So there is a moral...
there's a moral quandary there.
I won't get too much because I honestly don't know what that is. I mean, I think you could get some people to make the first jump. But what happens if everybody on the ship, like in their, let's say in their 20s and they get rebellious, they're like, this is stupid. We're turning around.
But yeah, well, if it's like another 80, 90 years back,
you're looking at
doesn't matter,
pictures, and books and stuff.
Doesn't matter if you turn back or not.
Well, true. You could still be.
You're not going to make it to land, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's a good point too. But I mean, you look at these pictures of this planet that you never knew, that could cause some issues. And then what if you just don't agree with any of what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, you're brainwashing a generation just to be pilots.
That's the other thing that I wanted.
And engineers and doctors and all that stuff on the ship.
So at that point, you have a ship-bound civilization, like a society on the ship. And then as you're counting on not only sustainability.
What's your birth certificate say?
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah. It has to be not only sustainable, but you have to also hope that that is a thriving society. So if the society collapses, then the mission fails.
I was thinking about this. Like those first people you pick have to be pinnacles of health.
Yeah.
Right. They all have to be able to. I mean, somebody might not be able to have kids. That hurts the thing. You have to have the right amount, all that kind of stuff. The food and everything. Obviously, probably growing food in space at that point. But like, what if somebody's sick and lies about it and gets on the thing? The whole mission could just be, the flu could take it all out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any little thing, man.
Which would be horrible,
Also, for something like this to happen, you would have had to have sent probes to wherever it is you're going.
They would have to have a pretty good idea.
So that's the other thing, what about the air quality? What about poisons? What about bacteria? Things like that might exist on this habitable planet.
In a place like, we'll take Mars or something, where you could theoretically, generate an atmosphere slowly with essentially making greenhouse gases, right? If you melt the water, plants, the whole 9 yards,
Yeah.
At least, this is National Geographic from when I was a kid, at least reading that.
Right.
You could throw those big machineries, the atmosphere thing, kind of like Aliens, which I'm wearing an Alien shirt.
Hey, there you go.
Aliens
Perfect.
Expanded. Great documentary. You should check it out. But what do they call those things? They generate atmosphere, basically. Like they can put all that machinery up there and make it more habitable before you get there. I don't know how much, right? Because this thing's will be working for years. And that also says that we've already conquered how fast we can go and a bunch of other things too.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that. But here's the other thing that we have to consider is, okay, so let's say we have a ship and it can travel as fast as light, maybe even faster. Let's even say that faster than light. And you have a ship that can sustain itself fuel, because you can't get fuel out there.
Yeah.
Fuel has to be some sort of renewable
reactor,
something
thing. Yeah.
Something that's going to keep renewing without having to stop for, X amount of time. Food, we would have to have something like replicators or something, because because there's no resources out there. You can't just stop and hunt for food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nothing out there. So we have to have so at this point we have to have conquered light travel. We have to have conquered death. We have to have conquered power. Like we have to. So that's why.
Power's gotta be legit.
Which brings me back to what I said in the very beginning. In order for us to actually traverse the stars, we have to become gods. Like that's the only way that it can be done. I mean, what is?
I think you could just science the crap out of it, to quote Matt Damon, right? Or
well, that is what makes you God, though. I mean, not like the God, but a God.
I mean, it's just a different game, or maybe like some of these crazy theories we hear about gravitational drives and things like that. Maybe they're real, and people can already do it, or aliens can already travel through space.
Sure,
and we get a hold of one of those, reverse engineer it, whatever.
Sure,
maybe it's not that difficult at all. I mean, it still might take some time. Maybe it's several months as opposed to years or hundreds of years or thousands of years.
Yeah.
But unless a breakthrough like that happens, I don't think it's going to happen for a long time.
Yeah.
For that kind of distance.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's
there's also got to be a reason to go. Like, do we have a reason to go to Jupiter? Yeah, let's go land in the storm and check it out. We want to test.
Well, you can't. That's the thing. That's why. And
you're gonna be smashed.
That's why I said a while ago. It's like Mars is really the only planet that we can actually set foot on. Like, we can't really land on a gas giant and walk around. You know what I mean?
Right. We don't even know what's down there. Right?
Yeah.
You know
Gas.
what I mean? Well, there's gas, but there could be like a hard rock in the middle. You know, who knows? Yeah, and places like Neptune and Uranus and stuff are really far away. They have atmospheres, but crazy storms that rain diamonds and methane and all kinds of.
It's insanely
it's
insanely inhospitable.
Yeah.
Like nothing that we know of can survive in that environment. It's pretty
rough. So who knows? And I don't know what Saturn looks like on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
cool. It looks cool from space, though.
There's one other thing that that we're glossing over that I want to touch on. We talked about it a little bit last night, and that is the one thing that we're not thinking about, and that is the other final frontier, which is right here in our backyard.
Oh yeah, this is a really cool concept.
Yeah, so I thought about this, and I was like, wait a minute, like so much of our own Earth is completely unexplored, and that is our ocean floors. What did they say? Like a very small percentage of the ocean floors have been.
Yeah, I hear these crazy
it's extremely
numbers,
small. Like the ocean is so vast.
It's massive.
Within our Earth, obviously, and we've seen so little of it. So, why not then do people want to live in domed underwater cities? Mm-hmm. That's kind of a scary thought. I don't want to live in a domed city underwater. Do you?
Well, if it's like octonauts, and you can like see fish,
sequest,
like you're like on a coral reef or something, it could be really awesome. You know?
But if something like if we get like, hey man, the dome's going to crack in 2 days, like we got to go. And you have that option. You could
leave. Theoretically, you could build a tunnel from land that goes into this crazy complex, and you could drive a car. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you get rid of all the gas and stuff from it, but
you could drive a car. Yeah,
or walk down there, or take a submarine, or whatever. Wherever, it depends on where this underwater colony is.
Exactly.
Of course, how deep it is, all that kind of stuff.
Let's say it's like 20 miles off the coast. It's not even that far away.
Nobody's. I mean, maybe they are. There's diving projects and stuff like that where they do. I mean, that's like saturation diving stuff where they go underwater for long periods of time.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard of anybody living underwater. I think that's a cool concept.
Well, the thing is
if humanity's too scared to do that, then we're way too scared to go in space.
So it's like so that's the point I was making, is you could always go out the back door and be like, oh, we need to go back home, something, whatever, because the idea of being in a dome or surrounded by a hostile environment that can kill you.
That's not producing light that you can grow. Food and stuff. It's
for that you could have stuff shipped in. Mm-hmm. So at that point you have to think about like, all right, well, if people don't want to live under the ocean, we probably don't want to live on Mars. And if we
does.
why would you? Like, there's not a lot of like, unless we found like some extremely valuable resource on Mars.
Why do people want to dive in super deep things and go see the Titanic?
People are crazy.
I've seen the video. I'm good.
I'm all right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know what drives somebody to want to go to the moon or anything. Who knows what those guys were thinking before they got on there? They're probably just doing it for like, not like it's my job, but like, hey, this is exciting. Let's do it. It's kind of human exploration. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we've done the Challenger Deep, went to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. So I think people just looked at it as like, oh, we've been to the bottom of the ocean. It's all good.
It's all good.
It's like, but there's all kinds of stuff down there. I mean, I wouldn't want to live that deep.
No, hell no.
But I mean, I've walked through one of those tunnels at like an aquarium. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about living in there and growing food and all that kind of stuff. Because what if you were cut off? Like if they did it as an experiment or like a biodome type thing, but an underwater colony, I think it's a good parallel for intergalactic travel. Or interstellar travel, depending on what scale you're talking about.
Will it ever happen? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. And I'll leave you with this. The dream of space exploration.
It's pretty wild.
It's beautiful, but reality is far more complicated. So will we ever travel the stars? Maybe, but only if we become something more than human. Thanks for joining us, guys. My name is Doolin.
I'm Keith.
And we'll see you next week for Zumundous.
Zumundous.
That's our old show. Zumundous. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Woo!
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe I wonder where you buy the land to make the colony underwater, Can you buy the bottom of the ocean?
Sometimes I wish I could.
Would it be a new country?
Oceania? That's a thing, I think. Yeah.
Zumundous.